3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello and welcome to Dialogue Alley, the official Potter Collector podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Peter.
I'm Carly.
I'm Erik.
And I'm Melanie.
The 4 of us are Harry Potter book translation collectors. We collect Harry Potter books from all over the world. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 17 of our podcast. Oh my gosh, of our podcast. That's so fun. Thank you guys for, I feel still like I'm unworthy, to call it our podcast, because it's really your podcast. But that gave me chills to say that.
You're a huge part. I'm all verklempt is the Yiddish word. I'm all verklempt for it. If Arun's listening to this, I feel like he'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a word.
It was so fun.
Yeah, verklempt is like choked up. It's so nice.
We have at least 3 Yiddish speakers that listen to this podcast, so
That's
you're
amazing.
good.
That's amazing.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
So thanks for letting me do the intro.
Oh, that was
Anytime.
fun.
I told you though, you have to sing it in a southern twang one of these times.
One of these times I will sing it in a southern twang for you. Just for you, Mel.
All right. Thank you.
See,
That's a condition.
We'll see if Erik and Carly approve of it, but I'll at least do it for you. Welcome, everyone. Erik, can you take us into the news segment?
No. Yes. Yes, I can. All right. So, for news this week, we actually have some really great news pertaining to translations, which that's what this show is about. So, that's actually really exciting news. So, the first thing is that, you know, those new Croatian covers that came out that was just the audio book cover art that we were like, it's not really that creative, but right now Croatian's the only language that uses the audiobook cover art, so that's really exciting. Well, that's no longer the case. Brazilian Portuguese is now releasing books with the same cover art. So the same audiobook cover art that the new Croatian books use are now going to be out on the Brazilian Portuguese books, and those are all coming out at the same time. So unlike Croatian, which came out like book 1, and then 3 months later, book 2.
But those were also a new translation.
And then you know what? Those were also a new translation. Well, just for the first few.
Right.
Right? Like up until book 4, I think.
4, I think, yeah.
Maybe just books 1 and 2. I can't remember.
I think that's the first 4.
But
and then
these...
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong, too. It's been a while since we talked about those. But anyway, so if you don't have that art, and, I mean, I don't know why... See, I don't know why you just get the Brazilian Portuguese if you don't have the Croatian books, because it's the same translation in Brazilian Portuguese.
Well,
so
I feel like that's an easy one to rationalize because Croatian became so difficult to get the original cover art, which was Mary Grand Prix cover art. They became really, really hard to find for quite some time. So if you want to get a translation of Croatian, you should just get this new cover art, and then you have unique cover art anyway. I feel like the fact that it's in Brazilian Portuguese is cool. I like that I'm seeing it in more places, but it's relatively easy to obtain those books, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I would just get them in Croatian. Also, Croatian is the original ones with that cover art, so I feel like it's for me, it's a no-brainer. I would just get Croatian.
And the new Croatian are such cute sizes. Like, I love the size of the new Croatian books. They're wonderful. So, like, that alone, I would sell me on the Croatian books anyway.
yeah, so that's cool. Like, I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna buy them, but I'm sure some people will, and that's awesome. There is another series of books coming out with new cover art, and that is the Spanish books are actually coming out with new cover art as well. It seems like the Spanish books always have new cover art, and we just got that amazing anniversary shiny rainbow spine book from Spain that was just like chef's kiss, as Melanie would say, in terms of a book. But we're getting new art, and the new art actually looks very cartoony. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it, so I think I'll only be getting book 1 because that's kind of what my criteria is. But it looks fun. I'm pretty sure that there will be somebody out there that sees this and goes, wow, this is awesome, because it's not bad. It's just not my style of art.
Although I do want to
know,
point
what do you
out,
guys think
I think that this is only the second translation cover that we've had that has Professor Quirrell on the front or back or at all.
Just on the cover in general.
On the cover in general, yeah. So
Which I think, like, I think the spoiler is like bigger on Ukrainian, because I think Ukrainian, do you like see the back of the turban?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the,
like that literally is like, oh, it's Squirrel.
with the Voldemort face.
yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty bananas.
Yeah, so Ukrainian.
But even this
and,
one, you're like,
But
yeah,
that's
this
cool.
one.
But even the Spanish one that's coming out, you're like, hey, it's Dumbledore, Harry, Ron, Hermione, Professor Quirrell. Not Hagrid. Not Professor Snape. Not Hedwig. It's just...
And he
Professor
either has
Quirrell.
a head full of hair back there, or there's another face popping out on the back of that turban.
He doesn't look too sure of himself either.
It's a big old turban.
It's a big turban. And speaking of new cover art, this is like a triple whammy here. There's new Persian cover art coming out as well. So that's pretty epic. I don't know. Did we mention that the Spanish books as of now are just books 1 and 2, but the Persian is books 1 through 4. And that's crazy.
Wow.
And that art looks amazing too.
The Persian books
That
are so
also-
good.
Brock, who's listening,
The Persian books
Brock's
were,
listening
looked
to our live
also-
listening right now.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Carly.
I was just going to say it looks like the Persian were also done with the Polar Arch covers too. Who did the 20th anniversary tie.
Oh, and we like 20th anniversary tie.
So they're
it's
coming
really
out
Just
with...
a little bit.
These are
That's now
beautiful.
like 4 different covers that the Persian books would be available in. The original interesting ones. Then
Officially.
Yeah, officially. And then they have the much blander usual covers in the second edition.
Simpler. I would
Yeah,
say
that's-
simpler.
Yeah, the simple is a good word. And then they have the 20th anniversary tie cover art, and now it looks like they're doing these too. And they're very cool. I don't know that I'll buy them. I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
The first editions will always have a place in my heart, especially Goblet of Fire, because I'm also a
I
big
remember when
Jurassic
you
Park
got
fan.
Goblet, you laughed a long time. Is that a
Oh, I
dinosaur?
died. It was not just a dinosaur. Is that Lex and Timmy on the front cover from Jurassic Park? Like,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes,
funny.
it is.
It's so awesome.
And speaking of Goblet of Fire, the revised Goblet of Fire in Basque is coming out as well. So if you are trying to keep up to date with like the newest revisions of translations, you can get the newest Basque book very soon. So that's exciting news. There's just all these books coming out. Like they just released all this news right now. New books, new covers, new books, new covers.
I would love to have a new
Books,
language
covers,
translation coming. Like, we haven't seen a new language
It's been a
introduced in a
while.
while. I think 2020, 2021, somewhere in there with like Maori, I think was the last one. Kazakh. We had a whole bunch that came out, and then like new
Belarusian,
languages,
yeah.
and we
Yeah, it's been a
haven't.
bit.
Yeah, we haven't had any. I think any new languages anyway since then.
Well, I think we'll talk about that in just a little bit more in depth. Carly.
Ooh.
Ooh, foreshadowing, but not really because I just straight up told you that we were going to do it later. There's no like alluding to anything. That's it. And the one other piece of news that I have that I'm kind of bitter about is that Apple Podcasts will not update our logo on Apple. It keeps like showing up for like an hour and then it goes back to the old one.
You
And
know
then it'll
it's
like come
irritating,
back for
Eric,
an
when it
hour,
makes our
and then it'll
news.
go to the old one. It's just frustrating because clearly it's like working, but then they decide like, never mind. We're going back to the old one. So I might have to send them a support ticket or something because it's so frustrating and it's just kind of humorous at this point. But I should give a big shout out to some members of our Patreon and our Discord who contributed to the news segment. We have just such a great community of people that keep their eyes and ears on the translation community, which is so great. That's what we love about this community, is that someone hears something that other people didn't hear and they share it with the group, and now we all know. That's fantastic. And now we are sharing it with all of you. So, hooray. And Melanie, you had some news you wanted to share too.
I do have news. You ready? I'm pregnant.
Congratulations! What?
Melanie's pregnant.
Erik knew because I had a few times where I was like literally falling on my face, like super asleep. But finally, like, just had a doctor's appointment that everything was like super, super good. And like, we're doing good. Have a little baby due in October.
Oh my gosh.
Don't know what it is yet. Yeah. So awesome, awesome stuff.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Both to you and Alana and Nora.
And Nora doesn't know yet,
Okay.
so I can't listen. I won't listen to this episode until after we tell her. We're telling her next weekend, but
fun.
But yeah, so fun, like so exciting, and all good stuff. Last year was like a little bit of a rocky year, like you guys listening or people that have been listening for a while. Like I had a bit of a rocky year, so like this is good news. Hopefully, it's like the beginning of more good stuff, but it's all good stuff. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks,
What a fun way
guys.
to announce it too.
Yeah. You know, honestly, like some of my family listens to the podcast, but like the family that like I don't know, is like would wait for a phone call, like they don't listen to the podcast. So it would be cool if it was like, hey, if you want to know more about my life, you can listen to my podcast. But it's okay. It's okay. They'll find out on Facebook eventually when
That's
it
just
gets
what
posted
we
on there.
need to get 3 more listeners to the show. And they'll be hooked.
Yeah.
They'll be hooked forever.
We'll see what happens. I mean, if I start getting texts from like my family in Florida saying like, "Oh my God, you're pregnant," like I'm gonna know that they heard it on the podcast, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my God, you listen to my podcast?" That would be my answer. So, like that would be great, awesome. That's my first reaction. Not, yeah, I am.
That's awesome news. Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Probably the
guys.
best news of our whole news segment, if I
know.
say so myself.
It's not a new translation, but it's a new edition.
There you go.
It's a new human.
Second
go.
state.
A new human.
New additions with an A.
Second state.
New edition. Yeah. So, all good
You have
stuff.
Nora in the first state.
First state.
That's how you should introduce your children. Be like, this is my first state, Nora. This is my second state. Fill in the blank.
With the Nora cover art.
Oh, I'll have her draw some cover art. She would love that.
Adorable.
Cute.
That's awesome.
Cool stuff. On that note, why don't we have a really fun main segment. So I feel like, should we get into our main segment?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. For our main segment today, we are answering your questions. This was really cool because Peter posted like on his Instagram. Yes, Erik, I forgot
There
that
it
you
is.
could add the sounds. No one else could hear those sounds,
can't
but
add
we
sounds.
hear the sounds.
No.
Erik added
We
the
hear 'em.
sound.
That's a Patreon perk for listening live. Is that you get to hear
You got live
the air
sound
horn
effects.
sound effect
Oh, geez,
and the duck
Louise.
quacking. There's like 5 to pick from without paying extra money.
Oh, Discord. So we posted asking for questions. We got a ton of questions, which was so exciting. And like reading through all of them made it really difficult to choose. I'm shocked that we narrowed it down to 10, but we did. So
Let's see if we can get through them.
let's see. We'll try to breeze through and not get too detailed. So this way we have plenty of time for our translation of the show. All right. Question number 1. What is the most popular Harry Potter translation? And that came from Otter_10. Most popular Harry Potter translation.
I feel like we talked about this recently.
Earlier, oh, sorry.
We talked about this 2 podcasts ago that I was on. Right? Didn't we talk about it? Like,
do we mean? I think
Swedish
so.
or German or Italian?
But is that to collect or to read? Because I took it as like most popular to read.
Oh, I took it as we can interpret it however. I interpreted it as cover. But what do you think is the most popular to read?
I would say any of the translations that are still in print. So like German, Spanish, Brazilian, French, any of the ones that are still producing new covers, or I would say that they're popular. There wouldn't be any reason to keep making it, right?
But then you could also say, what's the most popular that collectors are looking for, and that would probably be a rare one.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say like Asturian or any of the big 6 are out there. Or the ones with the really fun, unique cover art, like Czech, Icelandic, Hungarian.
I took it
I took it as like most popular, like, oh, go ahead, Melanie.
No, I feel like you and I were probably going to say the same thing.
I took it as like one that people would want to just have on their shelves to see, or like, hey, this is cool.
And in that
Not
case,
necessarily
like Finnish or
because
Swedish.
it's rare. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, like Finnish, Swedish, even like French, German, Italian, like the ones that we talked about last time. Just the early adopting translations that had unique cover art, I think, are all very popular.
I heard that
that people just want to have as a display piece.
The German and the French, I've heard some of those had really good initial translations as well. So I think that would aid in their popularity because they were so well done from what I understood.
Yeah, I definitely took the whole thing as like, if I wasn't a translation collector and just saw a book that looked cool and I was just a Harry Potter collector, what books would I want on my shelves? And I know a few people that are like that, a few like Harry Potter collectors that don't collect translations but have full sets of like the Thai set, or they'll have the 20th anniversary German set, or they'll have the Swedish set. And because it's just beautiful art and it's Harry Potter and it just depicts something beautiful. So those are the ones that I think of. I think Swedish jumped to my head like number 1 because that cover art is so iconic. And that's something, Peter's right. We talked about that. I don't know if it was the last episode he was on or the last episode that he was on, but one of those.
Definitely.
I would, if I could pick one, I would say Swedish. Besides Mary
that's a
Grant,
solid
I'm like
answer.
taking that out.
I agree. And Sean, who's listening live right now to us record, mentioned that he gives a lot of Scots translations as gifts to people. I know that a couple other people in our Discord have mentioned that as well. And I would think because that is the only translation that we can buy that is mutually intelligible to some extent with English. So you can give it to somebody and they can read it more or less and get some giggles out of like trying to make sense of this language that they can kind of understand because they can read English. So that is a fun, like from a reading viewpoint, that is a fun translation to give to someone or to have in your collection, just because it is somewhat accessible to English speakers.
The Mugglecast guys love the Scots book. Love the Scots book.
Oh, it's so fun.
Such a good one.
It's so
You
fun.
have friends over, you open it up and you hand it to them. You're like, hey, read a paragraph out loud for us. And it's always just a hoot and hanny.
It's always delightful.
It's a good time. All right. Question number 2. Best tips or resources for collecting Harry Potter items while on a budget. That question comes from the Potter Player. I mean, I don't want to say this to kind of like sound like selfish by any means, but I would genuinely say being a part of our Discord is a great way of saving money, getting bulk books for not a lot of money. It's
and really good resources.
That's your resource. That's your resource. Like, we have a tab specifically for resources that have lists of these like foreign websites that you could go to, use Google Chrome and Google Translate, have access to these websites, or buy books straight from publishers. Like, and the information is just all in one place. So I'm not trying to say that to like keep like shoving our Discord down anybody's throats, but I genuinely believe, like, if I wasn't a host on this podcast, if I wasn't part of this Discord, I'd be in the Discord because I'd know, like, oh, if I want to get books easily for a good price from reputable sellers, that's the place to be.
Well, while you're talking about that, I mean,
You and I-
you know,
Go ahead.
how much does it cost a month to be part of your Discord? Like, share that too.
I mean, we have different tiers. How much
But
is our
the
lowest tier?
lowest- yeah, the lowest
$3.
one.
It's $3 a month just to have access to our Discord, and that gives you access to like our main tabs, which have like general pages. Books for sale are on that, and you have access to talk to everybody that's in the Discord if you're doing that. So you can ask them questions. Hey, bud, what book do you have for sale? Like, and people will give you that information. And like we said, I didn't know that there was a new Persian cover art until we started recording this. And Sean, who's in our live listening right now, was like, hey guys, did you also know that there's new Persian art? So we added it to our notes and found out live as we were doing this. Bet you didn't know that, but fun fact, we literally just found out about that Persian cover art. But yeah, all of the information is just like, here it is, just handed right to you. And $3 a month, that is like half the price of a tall Starbucks coffee.
And also, it's not uncommon to do group orders with people in our Discord as well. Like, I've done group orders with a bunch of you guys, and it saves on shipping too, which can be a big deterrent from collecting the translations. So,
Yep.
and other things too. So it's nice.
I also love, like, we have a whole buy, sell, trade tab on our Discord, and one of the things is like books wanted. So if you're looking for a specific book, you could type it in, like, hey, I'm really looking for book 4 in German. Does anyone have it for sale? And chances are, if someone doesn't have it for sale, they're going to tell you where to get it. Like, oh, hey, I got mine on Amazon Germany. Here you go. And here's a
Or
link.
like, I found this box set. I know you were looking for one, Eric. Here you go. You know, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just really awesome. And I wish like more people like knew about it. I also wish that something like this existed like 10 years ago when we were all starting out our collections.
That would have been a game changer.
Yeah, seriously.
I would definitely be a member of our Discord.
Other great resources, and don't overlook eBay and Facebook Marketplace. Great resources. Oh my goodness. You know, I think sometimes, especially new collectors, they're either overwhelmed or scared of the word eBay because, you know, you can find fake things on there. And for the most part, you're very safe when it comes to purchasing translations on eBay or, you know, merchandise on eBay, Harry Potter merchandise. So it's a great place to not only learn about what's available, but also to find really inexpensive items if you kind of train yourself to look for them. And then the same is true for Facebook Marketplace. There's an option to either search via local or items that can be shipped, and you can just pay directly through Facebook. And your items are shipped and you're covered. If they don't get sent, you get a refund. You can search in different locations around the country or the world and, you know, find hidden treasures there. So that would be my tip for collecting on a budget.
And if you don't want to do any of that, but you would like a little more guidance, Melanie and I actually recorded an episode in season 3, episode 33, called "Starting a Collection with $100."
That's great.
Oh, that was a fun one. That was a really fun one.
That was fun because we did it live. So like we sat there and we just like pulled up really easy to access websites like Amazon US and eBay US and maybe I think we did thrift books maybe, or
Yeah.
book depository.
And we were
or
like,
books, like
what would
just
be like our
easy to access
starter
sites.
pack for
Yeah, we had
collecting
$100
Harry
to
Potter
spend.
books?
We were able to get like 8 or 9 really solid books for $100.
Yeah.
That's
And a couple of
excellent.
them were like $2, and a couple of them were actually like really good books, like unique covers and like showstopper pieces. And we kind of like spent a little more of our imaginary $100 to get like a really cool cover at the expense of like 3 Mary Grand Pré translations. So like there's cheap ways to do it, and it's very accessible with sites that you're already familiar with. Even if Amazon is your only site that you're using, you can easily find translations on there, new and used, that will ship to the US on Amazon US. You don't even have to go to the foreign Amazon sites. Just use Amazon US or your
But
local
I think you
Amazon
should
site.
talk about the foreign websites as well and bring those up, and including foreign eBay websites.
Yeah, so it's really easy to go to other websites, especially Amazon makes it so easy because if you have the app or even if you go online, you can access the Amazon pages that have their site also available in English. So like you can go to Amazon France, but they have Amazon France in English. And if you just use Amazon in France in French, super easy also. It's Amazon. It's exactly the same. You type the same thing in the same search bar. Or if you have Google Chrome as your browser, you can translate an entire web page to English. It's super easy. If you have an Amazon account, you already have an Amazon account on all the other Amazons. So whether that be Amazon Spain, Amazon Germany, Amazon UK, Amazon Italy, Amazon Japan. We love Amazon Japan.
Yes.
It's such a great site. They have so much stuff, and the shipping is so great. It is a little expensive to ship from Japan, but it's awesome. And then same thing with eBay. If you just go to ebay.uk or
Co.uk.
ebay.it for Italian.
IT.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.uk. You just add the country suffix on the end, or if you just Google eBay France, they'll send you a link to eBay France. And most of the time when you go on those sites, if the seller will ship to your country, those search results will show up because it, based on your IP address or where you're searching from, the seller has either put a preference in like, we'll only ship within Italy or we'll ship worldwide. And so you'll get the results for ones that will ship to you. So it's really, really easy, and you don't have to worry about breaking anything or getting ripped off, especially if you're paying with PayPal or any other like secure method of payment, like if you have a really good credit card to use.
Yeah.
Especially one with no foreign transaction fees. I talk about that all the time.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Foreign transaction fees add up.
Oh, yes. All right. I'm going to move us on to our next question because I love this question. It's something that I feel like we've wanted to do a whole episode on in the past. And we just always talked about doing it, and we just never did like a whole episode on it. But
Please include me when you do it. I would love to be part of that one. That'd be so fun to talk about.
So fun. I know. I love this. So we'll pick like brief, silly ones for this answer. But the question is, what is the best collection story of how you acquired a book? And that came from Staring at Stars 03 and Lucius Malfoy Aesthetic. Which I love that handle, Lucius Malfoy Aesthetic.
Maybe in the spirit of time, just maybe one of us should tell a story, because we should do a whole episode on this.
We should do a whole
Yeah,
episode.
I agree.
Mel, you tell it.
Cool. Best collection story of how I acquired a book. All right, mine's kind of I'll tell it as quick as I can. This is like the miracle story of 2 rare books. I had posted all over Reddit trying to find a bunch of rare translations, one of them being the original Icelandic cover art, some of the big 6 books, so like Macedonian, Nepali, Gujarati. This was like way back when. And after a while, I did get a hit from someone with an Icelandic, and I got a message back saying, hey, I had gone to my thrift store, I remembered your post, and I bought you an Icelandic book. I found it. Problem is I'm going backpacking for the next month, so I'm not going to be around to ship it to you. I'm like, shoot, all right, what have I got to lose? No big deal. Have a great time on your trip. literally to the day a month later, I messaged this person, be like, hey, how was your trip? Hope everything was great. Do you still have my Icelandic original cover art Harry Potter book? And they were like, oh my gosh, just got back. Trip was great. I'll ship your book out tomorrow. Didn't charge me anything for the book. I'm not even sure if they charged me shipping. I think shipping wasn't even that bad. So they sent me the book. The part 2 cool thing of that story is that exact same day that person said that they were going to ship me the Icelandic book, I got someone that had a Macedonian book. And this is like a wilder, crazy story, but the person had Macedonian. At the time, Macedonian market was getting wild. Some of them were getting sold on eBay for crazy amounts of money. Books that look like Erik's, which if you don't know, Erik's Macedonian book looks like it's been in my dog's crate for like 3 years. It's torn up. Like, it is not doing a good job. But the sentimental like nature of the book is what makes it. So those books were selling for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It was absolutely wild. So someone reached out to me saying, I have a Macedonian book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are the odds? This is crazy. Oh, sorry. This took place about a month before I got my Icelandic. Okay, so now we're back to my Icelandic. I had someone that had reached out to me saying, I've got a Macedonian book. Here you go. And I'm like, great. How much do you want for it? Then they did research and saw like how the market was going. And they're like, you know what? I can't sell you this book because I'm seeing that it's going for a crazy amount of money. I was so disappointed. And then back to the day that I got my Icelandic book, that same person messaged me and said, hey, you bringing light to my eyes that these books are valuable sent me such great fortune that I am sending you a Macedonian book for free. So they sent me a Macedonian translation for free. At the time, I didn't have one. That person probably made bank selling all of these Macedonian books that they were probably able to track down. And then a month after that, someone randomly messaged me on Instagram saying, hey, I've got a Macedonian book. Are you still looking for it? Just send me $30 shipping. And I got that. And that's how Carly got her Macedonian book. It's just like so, it happened so quickly. I was like, it's such a slump because I literally needed like $5 left in my collection at that time to have all of my translations. So to just get 2 Macedonian books, have them both together at the same time before I like sent Carly's off to her was just the coolest thing ever. Yeah, that's probably my like craziest collecting story. The fact that it all happened in such a quick time span was like the coolest thing of all time. That's my favorite one. Let's save more stories. Everyone put their stories on hold on the back.
Oh yeah, because I think we all have at least 4 or 5 of these.
I know.
And what's neat is a
you
lot
just
of our
reminded me
stories
of a
involve
totally
each other.
different one.
Yeah, jot them down
well,
or
you just
something,
reminded me of
so...
one that I don't even like. I didn't even think about it until just now when you said something, and I'm like, oh, I totally forgot that's how I got this book. So crazy.
Amazing. All right, so put that in the back of your brains, and we'll save that for another episode because I feel like that'll be a whole fun episode. We always called it book getting stories. Yeah. We're like, let's tell our favorite book getting stories. All right. Next question comes from F. Espinoza 33, and it is, what is your favorite Harry Potter cover art? What's our
that's
favorite?
So hard.
Well, I
There's
feel like we like touched
good.
on it briefly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Erik. Go ahead.
Mine's Swedish, the original Swedish cover. Love it. It's just perfect for me. I love it.
For book
so
one.
much.
Book one.
I mean, all the Swedish original art is awesome, but book 1 is so cool.
It's I don't know. Like, everyone knows my affinity for Asturian. If you've listened to the podcast, I love the Asturian cover, but also there's a bit of a joke about me and the new Lithuanian. I have to shout them out too.
Erik's holding up an Occitan book, which is notoriously on the podcast one of the least loved cover arts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I love it. It's not my favorite, but
It's polarizing. It is that.
Mine changes
It
a lot,
is-
but I think like currently it's this one it's pretty consistent. The second edition Catalan
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
Japanese.
I feel like you.
With
I was
the
gonna
two.
say. I feel like you always
With
say
the-
Japanese too.
Waldo looking Harry in the train
I
station.
love this book.
Yeah,
And
where he's just standing there with his like.
I
do,
love the
these. I
Japanese.
love both.
So great.
So good.
Very interesting.
I typically say my favorite, like, of all time cover is Prisoner of Azkaban Swedish. But I will say I think my favorite right now, like above everything else, is 20th Anniversary Slovak.
I'm so glad you
Sorcerer's
said that.
Stone.
It needed a mention. Because if you didn't,
Oh
I was
my
like, but
God.
we also love those. Like, we can't leave them out. They're too good.
Literally everything about the 20th Anniversary Slovak is like
Spectacular.
sheer perfection. The way the book smells, you know how I love Slovak books, smell better than any book ever. But yeah, 20th Anniversary Slovak is just absolutely unreal. So I would say that's my favorite. Erik is showing us a bunch of just weird covers. He's got a bunch of, what a variety you've got of weird books. All right, let's do, how do we feel doing one more question? So we'll do 5 now. We could always save 5 for another little
part 2.
episode. A part 2. Yeah, so
Yeah, pick a really
for
good one.
this. All right, let me read through all of them.
Ooh, there's some really, they're all really good.
No, they are all
well,
really
yeah,
good.
I mean, I do like number 5. I like number 8 as well. That's a question I feel like we haven't answered before.
So I literally did a video. I watched it today because someone had made a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and I referred them to this video to answer their question, and it was me organizing my Harry Potter collection, and basically took everything off the top of my shelves, which I call the room of requirement, and kind of redecorated everything. So the question is advice on making magical shelves look beautiful chaos rather than pure chaos. And I don't pat myself on the back at all, but I was kind of patting myself on the back like, oh, this is some good advice in this video. So if you want to see that video, it was posted last year, organizing my Harry Potter book collection. So that will hopefully help you Griff Pex on your journey of creating a beautiful chaos magical bookshelf.
Is that your video where you're like, should I do it like, or should I do it like,
I think it's a different one.
you had people vote. Oh, do you remember what I'm talking about?
I
Though?
do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You're like, I can't decide if I want it to go or like
No, that was a different one.
People vote.
Okay, so I guess we got through one, but so pick another one.
Okay. I like number 5. I'm gonna go with number 5. So that's what is the next book you'd love to add to your collection? And that's from the Harry Potter Specialist. I have an active list on my phone at all times because I feel I have
That's
like my catch-up list, which is like new books that come out that I'm like, oh, I have to get those. And then I have my like journey list, which is the list of like, I don't know, I still never finished like my full Italian set. Those are books that have been out for a bajillion years at this point, and the fact that I still haven't finished it like grinds my gears. But those I'm not like as like I don't have like a stick poking me in the back telling me that I need to get those ones. I need to finish the new Croatian set. That's on my radar right now. I still never finished the Estonian set. There's a French set that I need. Obviously, I'm going to want the Spanish set. I'm going to want this new Persian set. I feel like those are kind of the ones that are like big on my radar. But then I have like Golden Grail books that like if they popped up, like there's zero chance that I'd be able to say no to them. And for me, that's always the Harry Potter Hebrew Golden box set.
You don't
I
have
only
those?
have book one of that. I only have book one. You sent the link to Alon to get me the book for my birthday, and he got me book one. I don't have the whole set.
Oh.
And very recently, not very recently, I think it was actually when we first started our Discord, someone had posted them on eBay for a great price. Like someone posted them in the like books for sale tab or whatever, and I missed it. Like I missed the post, and someone else in our Discord grabbed them, and I was just like, my heart just fell into a million little pieces. But yeah, that's like one of my holy grail sets is to get that Golden Hebrew box set. Which I'm sure that they're around, but I told you guys, like, I let the laws of physics like bring the books to me. I don't really go like super out of my way to get books anymore, which I should, but also I have a kid. I have another one coming. Like, that's where a lot of my funds go to now. So I kind of have to wait for like birthdays and Hanukkahs and Mother's Days and things like that to get Harry Potter books. So I'm cool with that. But yeah, that's what's, I guess, on my radar for right now.
I don't know. I'm wanting a new signed book. I'm not really picky about what. I want a signed book. It's time. So
I love that.
I'm kind of opening my peepers to those. So we'll see. We'll see what comes my way. Because I'm kind of in the same, like I'm not really wanting for anything. Like I'm pretty content. But I'm also at the same time like kind of zoning in on what I want. And when I see one that is a price that I like, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I think for me it's also a signed book, but like a very specific signed book. Philosopher's Stone hardcover. I don't care the printing. It has to be the original with Thomas Taylor artwork. Dedicated to yours truly. That is like the ultimate book I would love to add to my collection. You know, maybe she writes Keep Collecting or something in there. Or heck, even if it's like signed to Peter and not like me, Peter, just some other Peter, I would be thrilled. But that's
Peter Pumpkin Eater.
Hey, I would
cool.
that would be the best. That would be so amazing if she said
That'd be
that.
amazing.
It'd be so amazing.
Peter Cottontail.
But I feel like that would be the ultimate addition to my collection. But
That'd
besides
be so
that,
cool.
I can't think of one that I would want to add. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that keeps coming into my head.
You have like all the books. You have more books than the rest of us have. You have so many books. So I feel like you're like, when I say like caught up, I feel like you have a lot of the books on my like, whatchamacallit, my journey list. You have all of those. Whereas I like have all these like catch-up books and the journey books that I have to get. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you might have like some catch-up books that you need to get, but not necessarily like the big picture. I'm on this collecting catch them all journey. I feel like those ones you have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I thought I was satisfied, right? I thought I had it all. I thought I had everything I needed. All my ducks were in a row. It was great. I was on the casual quest to someday have the orange Russian book with the train on it that Melanie bought instead of me for a ridiculously good price.
Sorry.
That's still like the, hey, if it ever shows up, I'd like to buy that book. I am trying like 2% to actively search for that book right now. But then Marathi book 1 first or second printing comes hunkering along and is like, hey, I'm actually a different translator than the one that you have. And that's what the book sounds like when it talks. And so that book takes the lightning lane past everything to the front of my queue, and now I have to get that book. And it's infuriating because I want to find it it's infuriating because it's nothing special. It looks exactly like all the other Mary Grand Pré translations that I have for book one. Honestly, it looks almost indistinguishable from the newer Marathi book that I do have. So I want it. I need it. I'm not excited to get it, but I am excited to get it because it does check a box that I like checking. So that's the one that I am currently looking for, and someone find one.
I have not
Find
seen
one
you
for
this
me.
frazzled
I'm looking.
since Malayalam and Gujarati.
I know, and those actually like worked out really well. And
No.
Sean, who's listening right now, like helped with both of those for
I
me.
feel like he was
And
more frazzled
we both
with
searched really hard for that.
Catalan, like original Wizard. I feel like that
No,
one.
it was-
that one was like you wanted that book for a long time.
I did, but that was like I didn't need it. But the Bosnian book one, I needed one when they vanished from the planet.
That was
Like,
so
they were
weird.
completely gone. And I'm like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? This book is all over the place. And
That was that was probably the
all of a sudden,
weirdest book.
It was completely gone. It was completely gone. And so what did I do? I got super lucky and bought one from the guy in Poland, Daniel, who was selling his collection, who I should have bought his Marathi from. Duh. Why didn't I do that? How was I supposed to know? And yeah, so I bought that from him for like $150, which was like fine. I didn't want to spend that much on this book, but then they reprinted it like 4 months later.
You still would have
which
needed
is always
it though,
like the
because it wasn't a new translation. Or was it a reprint? No, it was a reprint.
It's a
yeah.
reprint.
no, it's just a
They
reprint.
just
It's a
did
different
few,
size.
Like, minor grammatical fixes, but
Yeah,
it's the
so
same.
it wouldn't affect my translation criteria. The art is the same. It's still unique to Bosnia, and it's outstanding, but it would have been a lot cheaper. And that's when we saw a bunch of people buying the new book right away and selling it on eBay
Yeah, that was
for
that was
a ridiculous
that was
amount
weird.
of money.
Yeah.
That was really scuzzy.
Yeah, it was
And
scuzzy.
I was not a fan of that at all. So, but that's honestly like that's part of this hobby is like, oh, I just spent $150 on something that I thought was gonna vanish from the planet, and I feel like at least I got one. And then, a couple months later, it's like, oh, never mind. Here's a whole bunch
But
more.
you have, but you have the first edition Bosnian, don't you?
I have
the little short
I
one.
have a first. I do, and that's really not what I. Right, it is the short one. Yeah.
At least,
Well,
I
what's-
love
what's
the
so
little
cute? I
short
rebought the
Bosnian
new-
books. They're so cute.
I rebought the new one too, so they're different sizes.
I need to buy the new Bosnian.
That's one of the few I have the full set of.
Book 3, so I can have because 1, 2, and 3 are like the first edition are really short, and then the reprints 1, 2, 3, and then 4 through 7 they're all the same height, and I my collector brain wants both sizes if I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, my collector brain agrees. That's what I had to do. I had to do it. I was like, this doesn't work otherwise.
Which I think that's so funny because my collector brain was like, no, I just want the original books. So I bought 1 through 3 are the littler ones and 4 through 7 are bigger. And I'm cool with that
That's great.
because I'm like, these are the original ones. And
True.
and originally 1 through 3 were whittler. So I love that.
Very true.
But I think that we should talk about a book that holds such a huge place in my heart. And it's a book that I love so much. It's a book that we all love so much. It comes from a phenomenal set. And that's the book that we're going to talk about in our translation of the show.
Yay! I'm so excited. I say this all for all the books. I love this book. It's so much fun. So for today's translation of the show, we have the wonderful 20th anniversary edition Goblet of Fire. It's the German 20th anniversary edition. And interestingly, the 20th most of the German cover art is done by the artist Sabine Wilhelm, and this one is actually done by Jacopo Bruno. So they went with an entirely different translator for the 20th anniversary German books, which I love I love Sabine Wilhelm's artwork, but I love Jacopo Bruno's. This is such an amazing set, honestly. And we're doing, of course, Goblet of Fire. This,
I wanted to pick Goblet of Fire, and I'm just saying I wanted to pick Goblet of Fire because it's blue and it's Autism Awareness Month. Though we could have done red also, is like an autism awareness kind of like fun color. Some people do rainbow for autism awareness. I'm just for all of the autism awareness, so that's why I don't know. Blue is like the most common color for Autism Awareness Month, but that's why we did Goblet of Fire, because it's blue. So just throwing that out there.
So I'm trying to figure out how to best describe this book, but there's Jacopo's covers, all of them, 1 through 7. There's a bunch on them, but it's not crowded or chaotic like we see with the Ukrainian. Like, I don't even know how to best describe this, honestly. I'm kind of at a loss.
I always get like a steampunk vibe from them. I don't know if you guys pick that up also.
That is a good description.
I can see that.
Yeah, because especially if you like look at the spine, one of my favorite things is that the spines are different for every single one, yet they're still cohesive, which is the coolest thing of all time. I feel like the fonts are slightly tweaked on each one. The format is slightly tweaked on each one. Placement as well. Yet it's still an incredibly cohesive set.
It all goes together.
And I think that, I think stylistically, like, steampunk is kind of like a cool way of saying it. It's like the filigree that's on it leans to steampunk, and like even the ISBN on the back, like the barcode is like a ticket. That's very like steampunky. So I don't know.
I love that.
That's just the vibe.
And on the back of the cover we have Cedric.
He's looking
Diggory, but
dashing.
on the front we have. I know. I love this rendering of Cedric, actually. And then on the front of the cover, we have, I guess, the big three, the trio, I guess, Harry, Hermione, Ron. They're at the Quidditch World Cup, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have the different elements throughout the book, but there's not really spoilers on the book, which I think is great.
Well, Wormtail's on the front, which I feel like that's a bit of a spoiler. It's like,
only if you know who it is. Only if you know who it is. Like,
that's true.
He looks like a mouse. Like, he has like rat characteristics. Yeah. Like, he's got big teeth. He's got like bony fingers. He's got.
But that doesn't mean that you know what he's doing in the book, though. Ears. Like, it's not like we have the Ukrainian, where we literally have the both Voldemort coming out of the back of Quirrell's head.
No, I'm just thinking like plot sort of things. Like, if you read Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm assuming you did if you're now going to be reading Goblet of Fire, like, you know that Trelawney made a prophecy saying like that Voldemort's going to be coming back, and that his servant is going to be coming back, and blah 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 blah. We think that she's talking about Sirius Black, but it's not. We know that it's Wormtail. So like, seeing Wormtail on the cover could be a foreshadow that like, somebody's coming back. You know? I don't know. That's me like overthinking it, but it's because I know the stories. So if you've never read it, then you're right.
Yeah.
Also on the back, there's a beautiful Hogwarts crest, and I noticed, this is great. They used an eagle for Ravenclaw, and I went to zoom in to see it bigger. So I literally put my fingers on the book and went to zoom in. It's like, wow, okay, I'm on my iPad and phone too much. Can't do that. But it is an eagle. Just put it closer to your face.
Yeah. Oh, I love
But not too close, because this is a heavy book, and you might end up on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, I love this book. I'm so glad.
Or
we
need
get
a
to
new
talk
pair
about
of
it.
glasses.
Let's see. We've talked about the German language quite a bit in different episodes, so we'll just kind of, there's 95 million speakers, essentially, for first language. And how did we get our Goblets of Fire, our 20th anniversary Goblets of Fire?
I bought the box set.
I bought the box set. It comes in a beautiful box set that also Jacopo designed or illustrated, and it's gorgeous. And it also comes with 3 little standy, like paper dolls of Harry, Ron, Hermione that you can set around, like decorate your shelf with it should you want to do that.
I couldn't wait for the box set, and I bought them all as they came out, and then got mad that there was a box set.
I remember the
would've
box
preferred
anger.
the
I remember
box.
Melanie's box anger.
And then I remember Peter was selling a box set in one of his sales, and I was like, can I just buy the box? I really just want
remember
the
that.
box. And he was like, no, you can get
like,
the whole
sorry.
thing, and then you can
I'm like,
resell
sorry.
the books. Like, dang it. I just want
sorry,
the
Mel.
box. Meanwhile, it doesn't even matter because the way that my books fall on my shelves, half of them are on in one bookcase and half of them are in another bookcase, so a box wouldn't work out anyway. So it's fine. It's fine. I'm over it. It's okay. I don't have the paper dolls, and everything's fine.
So Carlson actually sent me the books to review, so that's how I got the books.
That's
So
fun.
beautiful.
Yeah, no, these were. I remember when these were announced. Like, it was super exciting.
Yeah.
Last time I
Yeah.
share anything like that, Eric.
And and I love
Making.
I love that this is like they're the only, so it's unique. This artwork is unique to Carlson, and I love that, because
Yeah.
I don't know, I just love that this exists only in the German books. Like, to be honest, I love it. I
too.
like that it's unique, and I love the art. It's so fun and so whimsical. And what's also really, really fantastic about this is that on a scale of 1 through 5, how hard is this book to get? You can get on Amazon.de. Like right now, for the cost of a new book. It's not rare. You can go to German bookstores, eBay.de or eBay US. They're still in print. They're very common. You can probably go to Carlson's website and buy it from them as well. If they'll ship to the US, I'm not sure, but I think they do. I think I bought some stuff from them, so they're easy to get for the cost of a new book plus shipping. So that's super.
We did
super
reissue
exciting.
the box set. The box set got harder to find for a while. So
But
that
they've
was kind of a
they've
bummer. But then
reissued
they reissued the box set. So you can probably still get the box set with the little standees.
Yeah.
No problem. If you want all 7, which I'm not an all 7 guy. I've told you that many times, but there are things that make my soul happy, and this full set of books definitely makes my soul happy. So
Yeah, like even
you
if
go.
I didn't
They're
collect
so
translations,
worth
I would
having.
have to have this set. It's too pretty. It's too cool not to. It
Yeah, I
just
do agree
Yeah, and
with
that
that.
goes
Like,
back
just
to
looking
that-
at them.
They're so good. They're so good. It goes back to like one of the questions that we answered earlier. Like, what would I don't know what we would think is like the most popular. Was that the question? Like the most popular translation? I would say like this set is popular in that
Photos?
if you
Yeah.
were just like a Harry Potter collector and not a Harry Potter book collector, you would probably still want these because of how amazing they are.
yeah. I would agree with that. Like,
or even just
and they
or even one
Instagram
of them,
so well.
right? Like they just look so cool.
They do so well in photographs and all of that. They're so pretty. They're phenomenal. Let's see. I guess it's time to put it through the tot scale. So we'll just do that.
I'm ready.
First, I guess we need to do the good old smell test.
Mine doesn't really smell like anything.
No, it doesn't.
Mine is unscented.
Unscented.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's.
It
I
gets
guess
an acceptable.
it gets acceptable because it's not bad. It's not good, but
Yeah, I would just do acceptable as well.
To me, unscented exceeds expectations all the way. Love it. I love that.
Excellent.
Yeah, acceptable for me
Yeah.
too. Oh no.
Yeah.
I just noticed some scuffing on the bottom of mine. That's
oh,
unfortunate.
nerds.
No.
Oh, scuffs. They're books. They go on shelves.
That's true.
It happens.
At least it doesn't look like my Macedonian.
Size and proportions.
I would
I
say acceptable.
mean-
For me, it's acceptable.
Ah.
It feels very big. I know you're not supposed to talk about how does it feel in your hand, but like
You're getting a face.
it looks very big.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you're
appreciate
eyeballing it on the table.
Yeah, exactly. When
You
you're
don't know if you want to pick it up.
okay, maybe I'll say exceeds expectations because it does look good on a table or a shelf. So size and proportions exceeds expectations, but foreshadowing, spoiler alert, how it feels in your hand, it's going to be an A for acceptable.
It might be.
It might.
For
You
my
never know. You know.
It might.
never know.
Well,
For my size and proportions, I love the German book, so I'm gonna say exceeds expectations. I like the size and proportions of them.
Yeah, I agree. Exceeds expectations. I think that I think it's really cool, but I don't find it to be anything that has like a wow factor to it, I guess. So yeah,
It's
exceeds
the size of a book. I like that it's not a super short book because I love the cover art and I don't want to I like that it's not scrunched up or shrunken down. But yeah, it's just the size of a book. It looks like a book. Well done.
this is one where I would give it an E, even though I think I gave book one an O. Book one is an O for
Yeah.
me. But like
I get it,
because
though.
it starts getting thicker, and they have to keep the size the same.
The German books get thick
I
real
don't know.
fast.
I wish they do. I almost wish it was a little bit taller and wider, just like bigger in general. Like you could just grab it with the editing tool and just drag the corner out a little bit. But I think it's still really good. So
Yeah.
I'll give it an E.
So we've already kind of ventured here before. Thank you, Peter. How does it feel in the hand?
You're welcome. A.
I didn't
knew
see
it.
that coming at
I knew it
all.
was gonna be.
Wow.
I'm gonna also give it an A because it is heavy. Like it would be exhausting if I were to sit and try to hold this in a train station, not on my lap, right? Like
You can do
it's
curls
heavy.
with it.
Yeah, it's a solidly heavy book.
How do you think I got these muscles?
German books.
Those German books.
Just lifting.
Yeah, like it's a serious book. So
I don't know, I like it. I'm giving it an E again. I guess I'm in an E mood for this book. I don't love the texture of the cover, but I also don't hate it. I think it's a little bit better than normal. I think the pages feel really nice, and when
It
you
is nice
open it up to
paper.
read it, it does open really well. And even though it's heavy, it opens really well. And I always judge thicker books by how easy or difficult they are to read, like the beginning or end page
Yeah.
in these really thick ones. And I don't know, the way it's bound is just great. So it
Carlson's
opens
really
fine,
good
it's
about
really
that
easy to
though,
read.
because even the all-in-one of theirs, it's similar. They're really good
Yeah.
about because their books are thick, and so they've had a lot of practice. But they're very good at that. The readability is good.
I would also give it an exceeds expectations. I think my favorite thing is like running your hand over the cover, and because like the logo is has like the metallic on it, like I don't know, it makes it like that little bit of a different texture, and I always feel like that's really cool. I also like the texture of the cover. It's not that super buttery soft texture, but it is very soft. I like how thick the boards feel, and I do love the feeling of the paper, especially like if you just go like along the sides of the paper, like do one of these. It just feels soft. So yeah, I'll give it an exceeds expectations for how it feels.
Very awesome. How do we feel about the quality of the book?
I mean, as per Carlson, I would give it an outstanding. I feel like we always say that about Carlson books. Carlson books are almost always outstanding books. We say like sometimes their boxes are not the best quality, but just looking at the books themselves, the quality is so good. The spine is absolutely phenomenal. It is super tightly bound
and so beautifully rounded.
I know.
It's
that
perfect.
Curve is
and
stunning.
It's so good. The quality of the paper, like I was just saying, like it's soft but thick, but not too thick paper. It's just, it just is very on par with what I would expect from a Carlson book.
Yeah. So outstanding.
Outstanding for me. Everything you just said. Carlson is just, they're an outstanding publisher.
They are.
I would honestly love to like read more, or like, you know what I should have done when I was in Berlin a couple months ago? I should have just looked for more Carlson published books and checked if they were just as amazingly made as the Harry Potter books.
That's, yeah.
Something to look forward to in the future. I can't wait to go back
What
to
a
Germany.
nerd.
Old Carlson books. No. That'll be so funny. I'll
we'd
tell my
all be
friend, like,
doing
we
it,
need to go to a
though."
bookstore. Do you need to buy something? Nope, don't need to buy anything. I just need to hold some books. I'm going to look around.
We would all
Can
be
I help
doing
you find
the
any
same
particular
thing,
book?
though.
No, anything published by Carlson.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. Just
Yep.
bring me to the Carlson book.
They're a stellar publisher. They know how to they know how to make books that are meant to be read. They don't fall apart after reading them. They don't spine lean terribly. Like the spine is made to move with the book as you read. That's what's so phenomenal. Like what Erik said, you can open the book. I'm on 389 and it's just flattened. You can read it. It's one-handed. Really cool. So yeah, outstanding there, I think, from all of us. And cover art interpretation of cover art. I think we're all super excited to talk about this. It's a giant outstanding from me.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a very easy outstanding.
Yeah.
This cover art is absolutely dynamite. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
I agree.
For me.
I agree.
Yeah. One of the easier outstandings I've been able to get. What do we think about X Factor? Like that one's actually hard for me
I
to
have
kind
one.
of think of one because there's so many that I could choose from.
It's very easy for
Mine, I think I used one of like a very similar thing, I think with the Ollie Moss Swedish books, but this like tops that. I love how this book, Melanie touched on it briefly when we just were describing it, that they're all unique. Each book is its own thing, but they all have the big Harry Potter in the middle, a show book scene at the top, and like two characters at the bottom. So there's like a continuity of the art of like what needs to be on the cover, and then they like add or subtract a thing or two. There's always something on the spine of these books reflective of the book. And so this one is the egg from the Triwizard second challenge that he was trying to figure out, that he delayed and procrastinated and almost, didn't make it happen. But all the other books in the set have that. So I just think these books stand really well alone. But when you put them together and look at the other ones, I love looking at how there are similarities and there's also differences, but they all definitely go together in the same set. And that's just so cool. Like this to me is the definition of a perfect box set of books. Also because all 7 books were already out. The illustrator could make all the illustrations at the same time. They knew what plot points to hit. They knew which characters were going to, be important and which were not. And there's just like a continuity of the art style in all the books. And I love that. I love that. And I don't think it gets much better than this in terms of a box set. So that's my X factor, that this is 1/7 of just an absolutely outstanding set of books.
For me, I'd say the spine. The spine's the X factor for me. Mm-hmm. I just love how the spine looks on a shelf. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that ties into what you're saying. You know, it's and then you see all 7 of them together, and it's like, holy moly cannoli. You know, they're stunning books. Yeah,
they are. And there's a lot on there, but it's not chaotic. It's not busy. It's very, very much a treat for the eye to look at for me. The cover art is. I think my X factor is I love the color used on the outside, like that blue. I love that blue. And it's not a color that you typically see used on Harry Potter books. And then the inside paste downs and free in paper, like, I love that. Love that. So that would be mine.
Yeah. I would say, like, mine is kind of like a combination of everything that everybody said. Like, I love how different each book is from one book from the next. I know we're like particularly talking about this book, but I feel like you can't really talk about this book without talking about the whole set.
No.
I love that, like, the title, like, Harry Potter written on every single spine is always in a different font from book to book. I just think that it's just so cool. The attention to detail is so cool. And they had to design 7 different things, but 7 different things that still went together in a beautiful way. And just in general, I love, like, steampunk style. I think that stuff is super, super cool. I feel like it was very in when, like, I was in high school. Like, everyone loved, like, steampunk and all of this industrial stuff. And I just think that it's just such a cool style. And this book leans to that so well. Like, I always talk about, like, oh, if you're designing your house and you have a really modern aesthetic, like, then you would really like the UK editions that have the really bold cover art, like the impact font. Like, that would be the set that you would have on display, like, on your mantle in your modern base house. If you had an industrial style home, these would be the books on your mantle, on your fireplace, because how cool are they? Really cool is the answer. They're just so cool. Also, I think the fact that these are unique to Germany, like, that's the only place that you can find these books, this cover art. If you want these, you have to get these specific books. You can't get the cover art anywhere else in the world, and I think that that's really cool. So I would say that that's the summary of my X Factor-ness.
We need to get you to Disneyland Paris for your steampunk paradise in Discovery Land.
Sounds amazing. Sign me up.
Yeah. I think that's it. So, yeah, we did the tots.
I feel like we have to come up with, like, I think we have to come up with a better, like, way of, like, wrapping up the tots. Like, I feel like we need, like a jingle at the end, like, and that was the
like,
tots. Because every single time we finish the tots, it's also because we're recording on 3 separate time zones. It's later for, like, every single person, and you could just see as, like, each person is, like, fading out a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit. So by the time we get to the end of the tots, we're all like, okay, and that's it. Okay. And it happens every single episode. We're like, we did it.
Yay!
Yep. That's the tots. But maybe we'll brainstorm a cute little way to be like, and that's the tots. I don't know. We'll come up with something. Everybody, put on your thinking caps. On that note, though, Erik.
On that note, that is all the time we have today on, what are we on? Episode 17 of season 4, right? Man, just that number keeps getting higher every episode we do.
Crazy how that happens.
How that works. How crazy how that works. If you want to get in touch with us, there are so many ways to do so. So if you had a question that you wanted us to answer that we didn't get to today, we might answer it on a future show. We'll definitely put out like an all call on our social media platforms if we're doing this again, which we will do at some point. But if you like have this question and you're like, we need an answer now, you can do so in many number of ways. So all of us are on Instagram, very easy to find us. Carly is at All the Pretty Books. I am at Nocturne Erik. Melanie is at the Harry Potter Collection, and Peter is at the Potter Collector. You can also, we should have mentioned this in the main segment, Melanie, you can go to Peter's Discord, the Potter Collector Discord, which is free to join. We do have a Dialogue Alley tab in that Discord. If you have a general question for us, you can absolutely drop a question there, and we can talk about this podcast in Peter's Discord. And that's, again, free. You don't need to subscribe to anything for that. You can also send us an email, dialoguealleypodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website, dialoguealley.com, and you can submit a little message at the bottom. I mean, there's just so many ways to find us. We're everywhere. You can't not find us somewhere, right? Carly, I don't know.
We're pretty easy to find.
We're pretty accessible. But there are a couple things that I would like to mention. There are some websites, so I mentioned ours, but you can always go to Peter's website, thepottercollector.com. He has got so much amazing stuff on there, as well as, I was going to say, you had just had a sale, but you're always selling some stuff.
Yeah, I need to redo the website a little bit and create a new tab. I actually created a new tab for Dialogue Alley as well as books for sale. So, yeah. Mel's looking at like, what? It's like, of course I'm going to add Dialogue Alley tab on the website.
I didn't realize that. I haven't been to your website in like 5 days or something. I don't know. I didn't realize.
For 5 days.
You can also find this show wherever you're listening. But if you're listening to us just on the internet somewhere, like through a link that someone sent you, you can also find us on any streaming service that you listen to other music on. So Apple, Google, Spotify. Actually, not Google. Google Podcasts is no more. YouTube Music has now replaced Google Podcast. We should have said that in the news segment. What was I thinking? That might be major. That might be major news for some people that are listening to this show. Open up their phone one day and they're like, egads. 418?
Save it for 418. Season 4, episode 18.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll mention it again.
So double news.
With the all call.
You hear like a...
I thought you were saying like a date. Like that's the date of that.
418 is when... yeah.
418. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, you can listen to us on Apple if you don't mind the logo changing every hour, oscillating between old and new. So, with all that said, thank you so much for listening to our show. We do this all for you. We love talking about Harry Potter books, and thank you for appeasing us with your ears and listening to our show. So, any last words from anybody here?
Expecto Patronum.
Yeah, see, there's your chance to just shout a random word, and Melanie just did it. That's fantastic.
Way to go.
You never know.
You never know. All right, so now it's time to walk back through the archway and into all of our daily lives. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Dialogue Alley. Bye.
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 See ya.